Greetings, this is Bradford Townsend. This is October 5th, 2018, and this is a forward research report entitled, We Are Animals. You are a metabolic organism. As such, you are basically a collection of replicative proteins that function according to metabolic chemical reactions and processes. A virus is similar in that it too is a replicative protein complete with mutable DNA and RNA, just as you have. But viruses lack metabolism and so must be considered to be alive in the same manner that you definitely are. You are a eukaryote. All remaining organic life is distinguished by structure differences at the cellular level between different groups of prokaryotes, which are essentially bacteria, and the eukaryotes, us. Unlike bacterial or viral cells, our cells have a nucleus. Hence, all non-viral bacterial life forms are, as we are, eukaryotes. You are an animal. Now, I've heard a few creationists argue that there are plants and there are animals and then there are human beings, and that none of them are actually related to one another, other than through a common creator. They adamantly argue that we are not animals, as if there is some insult to that association. But you are one of only about a half a dozen kingdoms of eukaryotes life forms. Unlike those of most other biological kingdoms, you are incapable of manufacturing your own food and must compensate for that digestion. This, along with some specific anatomical differences in the chemical composition of your metazoic cells, are the factors that define and distinguish an animal like yourself from all other kingdoms of life. Given the alternative choice between plants, molds, or fungus, Animalia should seem reasonable even to the most adamant fundamentalist. You are a chordate. You have a spinal cord and every other minute physical distinction of that classification. You also have a skull, which classifies you as a cranate. Note, not all chordates have skulls or even bones. Oh shit, what happened? Of any kind. Once one of the chordates has enough calcium deposited around the brain to count as a skull, all of its descendants will share that. This is why absolutely all animals with skulls have spinal cords, and that is yet another commonality that implies a common ancestry as opposed to common design. You are a vertebrate. Like all mammals, birds, dinosaurs, reptiles, amphibians, and most fish, you have a spine. Not everything with a spinal cord has a spine to put it in, but everything with a spine has a spinal cord in it, implying common descent. Every animal that has a jaw and teeth also has a backbone, and of course you have both as well, again implying common descent. You are a pteropod. You have 4 limbs. So you are like all other terrestrial vertebrates, including frogs. Even snakes and whales are pteropods, in that both still retain vestigial or fetal evidence of all 4 limbs. This is yet another consistent commonality implying a genetic relationship. There certainly is no creationist explanation for it. You are synopsid, Unlike turtles, which are anisept, the true reptiles, dinosaurs, and birds, which are all diacids, your skull has only one temporal fenestra, and commonality between all the vast collection of mammal-like reptiles, which are now all extinct without any biblical recognition or scriptural explanation either for their departure or their presence in the first place. You are a mammal. You are homo thermic, warm-blooded, fossil-bearing, and have lactile nipples. And of course, not all synapsids are or were mammals, but all mammals are synapsids, implying common descent. You are eutherian, or more specifically, you are placental mammal, like most other lactal animals from shrews to whales. All eutherials are mammals, but not all mammals are eutherian. There are 6 major divisions of mammalia, only 3 of which still exist. Those that hatch out of eggs, like reptiles, monothreniums, marsupials that are born in a fetal stage and complete the development inside a mother's pouch, and those that develop in a shell-like placenta and were born in the infant stage, as you were. Your own fetal development seems to reveal a similar track of development from a single cell to a tadpole-looking creature, then growing limbs and digits out of your fin-like appendages, and finally outgrowing your own tail. Some would consider this an indication of ancestry, especially since fetal snakes, for example, actually have legs, feet, and cute little toes, which are reabsorbed into the body before hatching, implying common descent. You are a primate. You have 5 fully developed fingers and 5 fully developed toes. Your toes are still prehensile, and your hands can grasp with dexterity. You have only 2 lactal nipples, and they are on your chest as opposed to your abdomen. These are pointless of males, which also have pendulous penis and a well-developed cecum or appendix, unlike all other mammals. Although your fangs are reduced in size, you still do have them, along with some varied dentition, identikit for primates exclusively. Your fur is thin and susceptible to AIDS, and are mortally allergic to the toxin of the male funnel web spider of Australia, which is deadly to all primates, but only dangerous to primates, which is why you'd better beware of these spiders. Unlike all but one unrelated animal in all the world, your body cannot produce vitamin C naturally and must have it supplemented in your diet, just as all other primates do. Nearly every one of these individual traits are unique only to primates exclusively, and there is almost no other organism on Earth that matches any one of these descriptions separately. But absolutely all of the lemurs, tarsians, monkeys, apes, and you and I match all of them at once, perfectly implying common descent. You are an ape. Your tail is merely a stub of bones that don't even protrude outside the skin. Your dentition includes not only vestigial canines, but incisors, cuspids, bicuspids, and distinctive molars that come to 5 points, interrupted by a Y-shaped crevasse. This is in addition to all your other traits, like the dramatically increased range of motion in your shoulder, as well as profound increase in cranial capacity and disposition toward bipedal gait. Indicates that you are not merely a vertebrate cranial chordate and tetrapedial placental mammalian primate, but you are more specifically an ape, and so as your mother before you. Genetic similarity confirms morphological similarity rather conclusively, just as Charles Darwin himself predicted more than 140 years ago. While he knew nothing of DNA, of course, he postulated that inheritable units of information must be contributed by either parent. He rather accurately predicted the discovery of DNA by illustrating the need for it. Our 98.4% to 99.4% identical genetic similarity explains why you have such social, behavioral, sexual, developmental, intellectual, and physical resemblance to a bonobo chimpanzee. Similarities that are not shared with any other organism on the planet. Hence, you are both a different species on the same literal family in every respect. You are nearly identical. You, sir, are an ape. And as I have witnessed the birth of my children, I have now met the criteria for your reward. Thank you. Bradford Townsend, over and out.